Hey guys, if you watched my last video, which was about me visiting Pike Place Market in Seattle and going around the flower stalls there, then you'll know that I haven't been here. I've been away on holiday for the last couple of weeks, and this is my first time down on the allotment. Now, while I was away, I had my sister-in-law come down and water the garden a few times for me, but she is not a gardener at all. And while I was away, the heat has really kicked in, which is why I have covered up my solar panel-esque forehead. And I'm worried. I'm really worried. So let's have a look around the garden and see how it did while I was away. For anyone that doesn't know, my name is Peggy and I am trying to grow a cut flower garden here on my tiny little allotment in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan, which is just south of Tokyo in USDA Zone 9B. Let's have a look around. Okay, let's start at the back here with my sweet pea. So I've had problems with these sweet pea. I started them in pots, I grew them on at home, and then I put them in, but I put them in too early, and they didn't it was still too cold for them to be out, and they all died back, so I've had to reseed them and replant them, and they were going really slowly. But they have started to flower now. Now, I did give my, they started to flower just before I left, so I gave my sister-in-law a really quick tutorial in how to cut them, because if you let these go to seed, they'll stop producing flowers almost straight away, and I didn't want to completely miss them. So I did have her come down, and when she was watering the garden, she was cutting the sweet pea back for me, but because the heat is kicked in, these don't like the heat so much, and they're not looking very healthy. Also, this is a weed. This isn't a sweet pea. It looks very similar, I guess, but it's enjoying climbing up my netting, so I'm gonna get that out. But they are looking a bit dried and a bit shriveled. As you can see here, they are looking quite dry and shriveled, which isn't great. They do still have quite a lot of buds coming on them. I'm still putting out a few flowers. Now, these are just the common sweet pea that I bought at my local home centre. I did have some mulberry mix, nicer ones that I put in, but they don't seem to have come up at all yet. Maybe they're just going to be a bit later, take a bit longer, because I think I put them over there. But these are really thirsty, and especially when they start to flower, they need to be watered a lot. So this might just be a case of they haven't been getting enough water. But I am going to come down tonight once it's cooled off a little. It is later in the day than I wanted to be down here, but I'm jet lagged, so this was as soon as I could get down. But I'll come down tonight when it cools off a bit and maybe try and give these guys a bit more of a drink and see if they can come back to me. But mostly I'm just going to tidy these guys up, try and get them climbing up the net a bit better, and see if I can help them out. Also going to have to do a lot of weeding. It's very weedy. So yeah. Gonna get weeding. Okay, so like I said, I actually started my sweet pea off at home in pots and then transplanted them, but this is the allotment next to mine. Now, everyone else on the allotment is obviously growing for different purposes. They're growing to grow food, so they're growing different varieties from me, but their sweet pea all came up a lot earlier, and they're starting to die back now. You can see if I move this way, the sweet pea over here is completely gone, and this one behind me, they've actually completely taken it out of their garden already. They're done with sweet pea, and they have replanted with let's say cucumber. They put cucumber in where their sweet pea was. For next year, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to direct sow, because these guys came up when my other allotments ones came up when I wanted mine to come up, which meant that I could have paired them with my anemone and my ranunculus and all of those spring flowers, my tulips, things like that. I kind of thought I would have them all together as my spring flowers, but it's ended up that they're not. They're coming in about the same time as the kind of early summer flowers. So next year I will be doing that differently, and I will just be direct sowing them in autumn and letting them come up hopefully a little bit earlier. So down here in front of my sweet pea, just before I left, I did plant quite a few different things. I planted some of my dwarf orange unknown Japanese flower that I'm growing. I put in my didiscus, I put in some ramosa, I put in a few other things, and this is so weedy right now, I'm not really sure what's what, so I'm really going to have to go over that carefully and try and decide where the flowers are and where the weeds are. I'm not really looking forward to that. Yeah. So then behind my sweet pea I have my snapdragon. Now, while I was away, I did know that there were storms here, and it got really windy, and I knew that these had got battered around a bit, but that's how that one's growing. I guess this is the quirk of having locally grown flowers is that you end up with some funky shapes. I mean, I think that'll look quite cool in the vase. But these look gorgeous, apart from the bendy bits. I'm really happy with how these have gone, but they have been slightly battered, if you can see this, or especially around this side. These guys, especially the taller ones, have all been knocked around a bit. Now, I should have had support netting on these, and I just didn't put it on. I will be putting that on to help them grow nice and straight now, but I should really have done that before I went away. Makes a nice frame. So I'm going to cut these back now because these are cut and come again. So these ones I also want to cut back so that they put up new flower shoots, and I'll be able to get more off of these. So I did actually think that I might have missed these because my sister wasn't cutting these for me. So I was worried that I was going to miss all these. They would come, they wouldn't get cut, and they would stop putting out flower. But it looks like I've kind of got most of them about the right time. So I will be taking some of these home with me today. Yay. But yeah, you can see they're looking a bit battered and flattened by the wind. These ones are literally growing horizontal along the floor. Also, some of them have come out on quite short stems compared to the others. Now I will be going over this in more detail because I did do my little experiment when I pinched them and when I propagated them. So let's see what ones these are, the shorter ones, and which ones are giving me the big long stems that I like. So in my next row I've got my cornflower, and these are black ball cornflower, and I absolutely love them. I love them. This colour is amazing. I've got so much peach in my garden, especially with my aster and things, that I guess anyone watching this, the natural assumption would be that I like the peachy colours, and I don't. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I love this, and in my garden I had a very, very similar coloured tulip, and these started blooming just in time for me to pair them together, and they were such a perfect match. I absolutely love them. They're so dark, they're almost purple. Almost black, sorry. They're such a dark purple, they're almost black. But when the sun hits them, they turn purple. And they're lovely and bushy, and they're giving me so many flowers. I cannot wait to cut them and take these home and arrange them. Now, I did see another flower farmer who I really like that I follow saying that she's not growing cornflower because she finds them really annoying to cut, and if you're selling them, they don't add much to a bouquet value-wise. But personally, I love that. You don't get many flowers that come in this dark. And have so many of them and then be a cut and come again flower. So this year I'm loving these cornflower. Yeah. And they're tall. I mean, I'm short, but they're pretty tall. They're doing good. So behind my cornflower, just before I left, I had put in some cosmos, and it is all doing really well. And I need to get in and pinch that because actually some of them, you can see here, so you know, this stuff's doing really, really well, but this has already started to put buds out on it, so I need to get these pinched. But they haven't all grown, and I've already been down once and reseeded them, but I can see that I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've still got 8 that haven't done anything. Is that them? Oh no, there's zinnia, sorry. So I've got 4 that haven't come through, so I'm gonna have to reseed these again. Now, I don't mind doing that. I don't know why they're not working. You know, you don't get 100% germination all the time, but it means that if I do them at different times like this, then I kind of get succession planting, so that when these ones are finished, I'll have those ones. The only thing is, it seems to be the same kind that aren't really doing very much. So this one is Cupcake. My Cupcake ones seem to be doing really well, whereas this one, my Cosmos Chambois, I've only got 2 of the 4 that I planted come up, and this one, which is my Cosmos Apricota, again, I've only got 2 of the 4 come up. So I am going to have to reseed them, but again, this is really weedy as well. Yeah, this is really weedy. So you can see my Cosmos, they're the ones that I planted a little bit later, so it's much smaller. And then I did reseed here, but they've not come up. But whatever this is coming up. This grass is coming up really well. But yeah, I'm going to have to go over it this whole bit and weed it out. Here's one that is starting to go to flower already, so I need to get that pinched before it gets any bigger. And then these ones need pinched down as well. And here again is another one that I had to reseed, so it's much, much smaller. So yeah, they're doing okay, but I'm definitely gonna have to reseed. And then next to them, I have my zinnia, which do not seem to be doing well. Now, when I left, big bug, when I left, these were doing okay. I thought a lot of them had come up, but now I think a lot of them have died back, which is not great news. So I think I'm gonna have to come down and reseed them as well. One thing I have learned is there are some things I have to be careful when I put them in the garden, like last year's amaranth, which you can see has reseeded itself freely all over the garden. I am literally having to pull out bits of amaranth every single day. Every single time I come down here, I'm having to pull that up. And I can now see as well that this is some of the verbascum. Is it verbascum verbena? I'll check. This grew really well for me last year and I really liked it. It was really abundant, but I don't want to grow the same things again. So I wanted this out my garden, but it has obviously reseeded itself as well. So I need to get that out. And talking of reseeding, these are my mystery plants. These are the plants that were in the garden, didn't do anything last year, but have come back this year and they have got huge. They're massive. I think they are possibly some echinacea, some scabious, and some orangium. Let's looking what that one is. It's kind of spiky looking. So I've just let these grow to see what they turn into, but they are starting to take over the garden. The bunny tails as well are from last year. These are some of my zinnia, because I had to plant my zinnia kind of around them. So this one's come up, that's a zinnia. That's a zinnia. So some of them have come up, but then I just have big bare patches here. So yeah, definitely need to reseed. Okay, down this end, it's all getting a bit messy. So these were the poppy that I planted last year. They are California poppy. They did nothing last year, but I left them in and they've come back this year. But I have decided I don't like them. I don't remember planting traffic cone orange poppies. I don't know where these have come from. But I do like having poppy because, again, they're helping fill in that kind of weird gap between spring and summer flowers. So I am going to put poppy in the garden next year, just not these. I'll probably go with some Icelandic poppy. Having said that, since I've been gone, these guys have come out. And these I really like, but they are very, very delicate and they don't seem to be on very long stems. So I like the colour, I like the petal formation on them. But again, I don't like them enough to keep these in. So I will be ripping these out, but putting in new poppies. I put this shade cloth on to try and let my stock flower get nice and tall before the flowers came out on them. And that seems to be working, but I need to get this fixed and up a little bit higher for them. But let's go see how they're doing. Okay, so you can see the weed cloth is on really, really low. So let's lift this off a little bit. Now you can see these stalks are getting taller, but they're actually going a lot slower than I thought. So maybe I might try taking the shade cloth off for a little bit. It is very hot. We're at 25 degrees today, but it's cool in the morning and cool at night. So maybe that'll be enough to stop them going to flower. So I think I'm actually going to take the shade cloth off right now and give these guys just a little bit more sun. And if they start going to flower, I can always put the shade cloth back on again. But yeah, I mean, they all seem to be thriving. I've not lost any of them, so that's great news. This next row is supposed to be my aster, and I had direct seeded some aster, and I'd had some that I started at home and then put in. And honestly, this is so mixed up and so messy that I'm not really sure what's going on. As far as I can see, some of my aster have come through, but I think quite a lot of these have died back. It also looks like some of them have been eaten by something. As well as that, it seems like some of my verbascum that I planted last year that again did nothing because it was quickly shaded out by my sunflower, which I had down here, is coming back, and it is growing faster than the aster and seems to be kind of smothering them because they spread out before they go up. I'm loath to get rid of that because I like those flowers as well, and because I didn't get any last year, I'd like to see how it comes up, but it might be at the expense of my aster. I'm not really sure what to do with that one. I do have some aster still at home in seed trays, so hopefully they're still okay. I haven't checked those yet, but if they're okay, then I can put them in to replace these ones. But I think this first lot have not liked being left alone. I'm not sure how much I'm going to get of those. This one looks like it's being eaten by something. Slugs, I guess. And then that one as well, that's one, it's been eaten. But so many weeds in here. I think that's a weed as well, just pretending to be something. That's another aster. And then these are the ones from last year. Got 3 of them, but you can see how that's spreading out, and that's an aster there, so it's about to smother that one out as well. And then these are the bits that I seeded, and I don't have anything left there. Now these guys are coming in as well. And to me that looks an awful lot like a dahlia. Have I missed some dahlia tuber? Maybe I left in some dahlia by accident. But that's what they're looking like. So I might not have as many aster, but it looks like I've got 2 extra dahlia. And while we're on the topic of dahlia, I actually have my first flower coming. Now this is exciting but also not exciting because I haven't pinched these. They weren't big enough just before I left, and now obviously they're way past being big enough. So I think I have missed pinching these, which means I'm not going to get as many dahlia as I wanted, but not all of them. These ones in the middle, which apparently are yellow, they've got big and are too far to pinch, but there are still some down here at the front that are a lot smaller. Now these all did come through at different times. I wasn't sure if I was going to get any dahlia because they were being so slow to come up, but these ones are still really small, so I'll be able to pinch these ones at the bottom and possibly these ones at the sides. There should be one more in there at the back, so some of them can still be pinched, but some of them have gone too far. But look, I'm about to get dahlia. That's exciting. So the real surprise for me since I've been away is this, which is my calendula. Now I've spoken about my calendula before. I tried to grow it last year. I didn't do very well. It got shaded out by other stuff, and then the stuff I was picking was really sticky, and I didn't like it that sticky. But I had the seeds already. I'd already bought the seeds, so I thought, right, I'm going to put them in the garden this year. Anyway, the first ones that came up, I wasn't impressed with. They were short little stems. They weren't very impressive, and they were a bit wishy-washy. But these ones, I mean, they're still sticky, but they're not as bad, and they're obviously on much longer stems. Now I do have 2 varieties in here. I have these ones, which I think are Snow Queen, if I'm mistaken. These ones are, Snow Princess. And these I really like. These other ones at the back, however, I'm still not overly keen on. I just think they're a bit wishy-washy. They're kind of browny and dirty looking as opposed to two-tone. So I might actually pull out that back row because it is starting to shade out my dahlia, and I'm more interested in getting good dahlia than continuing on with my calendula. But these Snow Princess ones at the front, they're better than I thought they would be. Still, I don't like them enough to grow them next year, so this will be my last year of growing calendula, I think. I mean, there's lots of buds on there though, so I should get some good cutting from them. These flowers are much bigger than the first ones I was getting, and they're obviously on very, very long stems. I need to deadhead through here, but yeah, I think I'm going to keep these ones at the front, deadhead them, thin them out a bit, and just pull the ones at the back to give my dahlia some more space. This little wispy stuff down here, this was my gypsophilia. Was it? Yeah, it was. It's my gypsophilia, and I really liked this. It wasn't your typical baby breath. It was one that had a little, really nice little purple flower on it, but I have obviously missed it. You can see there's still a few purple flowers down here, but the flowers have all fallen off. This is not a cut and come again, but I have started some more of this off as seed, so I will pull this out maybe tomorrow and replant the stuff that I've been growing on at home. So hopefully I'll get more of this because I loved it in displays as well. It really filled out the display. It gave it such a light airiness while making it much more substantial in size. They are on quite short stems though. It is growing quite close to the ground, so it's not great for bouquet work, that kind of thing, but I still like it enough for what I'm using it, which is just decorating my house, making it look nice. So I will pull this stuff up because it is gone, but luckily I have a second succession of that to put in here anyway. This is where I planted my statice, and I had 2 different types. I had regular statice and I had statice caspia. The caspia was started much earlier and it's not really doing anything. Again, there's a lot of weeds competing with it in here. This seems to be my regular statice, so hopefully I'll get something in there, but there was supposed to be a second row and it's completely gone as well. I also had some Mexican paintbrush that I started at the other end, the Mexican paintbrush started at the other end of here, and nothing's happened there either. Now again, I have some of that seeded at home to see if that would do better, so I'm hoping that it is. I just need to go and check my seedlings. But that is pretty much it. So a lot has changed, a lot of stuff has grown much faster than I thought, a lot of stuff has died back, which is kind of what I expected. You know, one of the downsides of gardening is that you have to kind of be doing it all the time, and I was away for quite a long time. But I'm going to go through, I'm going to weed, I'm going to deadhead, I'm going to try and fix a lot of stuff and tidy everything up, and hopefully most of it will have survived. I've just got to do a little bit of reseeding tomorrow. I'll come back and do that. So reseeding and pinching, and then when it cools off later today, I'll come back and give it all a nice good drink, and hopefully that'll be enough to save the garden. But all in all, not too bad, except my sweet pea, which are still doing nothing. See if I find out that my sister's got like bunches and bunches of sweet pea at home and it all came while I was gone, I'm going to be really upset. But yeah. But thanks for following along. If you want to see what I do with all the things that I cut, you can check out my Instagram, which is From the Witch's Garden. And I will be back down pretty soon to show you me pinching out the dahlia, pulling out the poppy, planting new dahlia, and putting in the seedlings that I have at home to try and get this all filled up, because we are almost in June, and that should be the start of all of my beautiful flowers coming, and hopefully big bouquets instead of all of my little individual stem vases. But thanks for watching along. If you liked what you saw and you want to follow on and see what happens with this garden and how the flowers progress and if I get my succession planting right, then remember to hit the subscribe button below, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.